I burnt my don't hold damn.
Okay, we're live.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Move in.
What
Wait, hold on. Maybe if I back
up,
up.
Mikey?
Oh yeah. Okay, now we got a little bit more room in the shot. Oh, I didn't know that. If I move the camera back some, it gives us more room.
So
Okay.
that's what I told you to do the first
So
time.
when
When I say move the thing
you
back.
told me to move that chair back.
Hey y'all. So what's up? This your boy Mighty Matt.
And it's your girl Cadillac. If you was there just a few moments ago, we were live, but we had some technical difficulties.
Y'all, that was a horrible. That was horrible because it was all discombobulated and it's misconfusion, which is our tonight's topic of conversation anyway. So that's just a good example. So if you haven't seen that live, go back check that one out. So you will know exactly what's going on in this video, and you will see why we did the topic that we did on this channel
We
tonight.
didn't even get to
So
explain it yet.
I'm gonna re-explain it. But that's just an example of what I was saying about misconfusion. Like it was just too much going on, y'all. So, but once again, we coming at y'all live. I'm gonna let Cadillac before she go to paint. Y'all know she cannot multitask, so I'm gonna go and let her explain pretty much the gist of this video, and then I'm gonna take over. So I'm gonna hand it over to her.
So on the last live, which was just a few moments ago, I did this sketch. I don't know if y'all could see it. This is the outline. Hopefully you can see that decently. But I am going to be painting this picture of the ocean. And you may ask yourself, why am I painting the ocean? Because I never, I always paint like people and stuff like that. This is really pretty. And I think it's gonna turn out really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna attempt to paint this. This is like on the beach or the sunset or whatever. It's really nice. But I am I showed y'all all my stuff I got from Dollar Tree. So all my paints I got from Dollar Tree and my canvases I got from what do you call it? Five Below. I tried to call them deals. Where deals come from? Why did
It used to
deals
be a dollar store deal.
why did deals jump in my head? I got that from Five Below. My canvases, which I think are going to be really nice, and all my paints I grabbed from the Dollar Tree. So if you're an artist on a budget, I wasn't necessarily on a budget, but I just came from work and I didn't have time to get my paints from home. So I came straight over to my cousin's house. I had to pick up some stuff to go. So now we're going to get into the topic of today. So Mr. Beast, he is a big YouTuber. I'm sure you may have heard of him, but if you knock it down about my age, you may have never heard of him because he's kind of like really like he's super popular with the younger generation or whatever. But he is one of the biggest YouTubers on this platform, like biggest. And he does a lot of things. He raises a lot of money. He does a lot of challenges to raise money for good or whatever. He started out as a gamer, and then one day he just took off, like just off. So this man got to the bank. Choking.
What the hell wrong with you?
I don't know what that was. He got the bank.
You was choking up on the bank.
So anyway, he has a challenge, hashtag the Seas, Team Seas. I'm so sorry. It's Team Seas by Mr. Beast. And the whole point of this challenge is on the 29th. He asked that all creators on the YouTube platform do a video dedicated to this chair rubbing against that one. He asked that all the creators on YouTube platform do any type of video related to the seas, to the beaches, to cleaning the beaches, or even if your video is not related to that, just go ahead and make your video, but make sure you link in the description box. So y'all check that description box because I will, right now I don't have it, but I will have the challenge and all the information and the website that you need to go to because they did say that for each dollar donation, they are going to gather a pound of trash from our beaches. And and you might think, okay, who cares about the beach? Whatever. I'm not by the beach. But the beach leads to the ocean. And when you see like a lot of like, remember when we went to the beach and we were seeing them dead fish like up on the beach?
Well,
Like those
natural.
things, those type of things, it kills the environment, it kills the sea life. No, I ain't never just seen no fish. Like there was abundance of fish up on that sand. And Isaiah had actually stopped and went bury the fish. That was sad. But so it also leads to us because once all that plastic and debris like downgrades and breaks down into the ocean, what happens?
I don't know.
Eventually, it becomes a part of us because we are a part of our environment. We're made up of mostly water. Our bodies are made up of a whole heck of a lot of darn water. And my body made up extra water, like an extra gallon or two. So it's plastic in there somewhere. So we're not plastic people, but now we got, so we need to have this clean. I'm all about, dang, my bad. I'm all about trying to do good and whatever. So I know this is not usually my topic or whatever, but I am going to participate with the challenge and I'm going to be painting the ocean. And we're going to have a discussion. I'm going to let Mike tell you what our discussion is about and how does it, Mac.
Oh, okay.
When do I ever call you Mac? I'm gonna let him explain to you like the relevance of the ocean to our topic.
You can't be in a movie or nothing because you be calling people their real name. Hey, Idris! Like, what the fuck? Like, no. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't too fond of the ocean or too familiar with the ocean, but I can relate to cleaning up things and cleaning up people out of your life. You see how I put that two together?
No,
y'all?
but the environment.
I'm winking my eye, y'all. Like
the environment. You changing the topic then?
No,
you said the topic we
cleaning up the environment. You have to clean up yourself.
No, but the topic was
cleaning people out your life is cleaning up your environment. But the topic was
your environment affects you, like your environment, like your everyday environment has effects on your life, like day to day, like your mental state and stuff.
Right.
Like that. That sounds like a different topic.
No, it's still part of. Okay, if it affects your life and it affects your everyday mental, what affects your mental the most?
Your environment.
What's in your environment?
Mine is confusion.
But what?
Lack of.
What else is in your environment?
Lack of money.
What causes confusion? What causes lack of money?
The environment.
But what's in the environment?
What you mean? I'm not gonna guess this. So we all out of chances. So go ahead and just tell me.
When you lack of confusion comes, a lot of lack of confusion comes.
Lack of confusion.
A lot of confusion comes from people. Your environment is
the people.
The people within your environment. Okay, you have to clean people out your life as well if you want to have a clean environment. Because just because that person is in your environment, their environment that they came from might be different. You remove them from your environment in your space.
They're bringing their environment
to yours, which is a lot of confusion, lack of money, mental health, mental problems, mental stress. Because I was going to put my hands on somebody, y'all. But okay, but anyway. Oh, I got a little story time.
I hope I don't pop none of this paint on. But you got on a white shirt.
Maybe this is not cheap. These tank top was $15 from Walmart.
Why would you?
Because it was a bag.
How many?
Of 8. You want to be
messing
my tank top up?
7 more left.
I ain't gonna be messing my stuff up. But yeah, y'all. So let's get into it. So you have to really, when it comes to the cleaning the ocean, like I said, I'm not really familiar with that because I know I'm not one of the people that follows, cleaning beaches, but we're going to give y'all something very close and very significant to the story of what's going on. It's bringing awareness, symbolic. It's about mental health, protecting yourself, cleaning your insides. Keita said we are part of plastic and shit. So to get that out your life as well, you need to remove certain things out your life. Just like they need to
curse on my life. I am trying to get monetized.
What I said?
Itch. You might not be
Oh.
trying to get monetized, but I am.
Shit. I mean, shoot.
I'm desperately seeking monetization.
But yeah, y'all. So when y'all cleaning up them beaches, make sure y'all cleaning up y'all lives as well. You said I did that. That's going on Postmark card, y'all. Not Hallmark, because Hallmark don't care for us. But y'all, we put that on the Postmark card. But
there was these mahogany cards. I think that's what they were called. Like when I would send Marcello like letters, like cards, like honestly, these cards, everything that was in it, it wasn't that generic stuff.
Y'all, I'm gonna challenge Cadillac. I'm gonna challenge her for the rest of this video to not mention Marcello. Okay?
I mentioned him.
We ain't mentioning him no more throughout the video.
You said
if she y'all pay attention, because if she mentioned him again, she owes me $5.
Well, he's part of my environment, so you can't.
But you can't clean him out of your environment.
That part is what's really causing all the confusion in my life. So then we can't even continue this conversation.
Pick another confusion. You confused 24/7. Pick another one. But yeah, y'all. So when y'all cleaning them beaches and y'all cleaning them oceans, make sure you also take the time out to clean your life, clean your environment, clean yourself. Don't just clean the beach environment. Don't just clean the oceans environment. Clean your own environment, because you have to maintain a mental safe space for yourself. You can't it's 2021. You can't let nobody stress us out. We can't let nobody, cause us to have a dirty household inside of our own house. Y'all get what I mean? Can't let nobody have you in a dirty mental space, because, it's not going to work. When you give somebody that, allow them to get in, it gets toxic. Just like the stuff in the ocean gets toxic, the people around you can get toxic as well. So make sure you clean them out as well, because, I just went through a whole situation with someone, and for the sake of this story, we're going to call her Mary J. Blige. And the reason we call her Mary J. Blige is because every time I see her, she be having that little Just Fine wig on. What? She does. The Mary J. Blige Just Fine.
Family reunion.
No, it's the Just Fine mushroom cut.
That was from Family Reunion.
No, it's Just Fine. It was Just Fine. That album cover, look at the album cover of Just Fine. She got that little bob cut thing, and it stopped right here in her ears.
That was my style growing up. That was the style.
No, you didn't have the little bang right here, though. The little mushroom bang. You had the cut, but it wasn't you had a jagged cut, a symmetrical cut. This is a blunt cut.
No, I used to wear it straight sometimes too. Most time it was at diagonal.
But yeah, y'all. So that's why I call Just Fine. And the situation transpired. Me, for the sake of this purposes, for this video, I'm gonna call them Love. And Love, y'all know why I would say Love, because that's my baby. So, but okay, so it was Love.
So I'm not talking about Marcello when that got something.
You owe me $5.
But you talking about some love.
Because
I'll call Marcello. We're gonna call him for the sake of this video. Pooh. So when I refer to Pooh, y'all know who.
Y'all, so me and Love have went out for their birthday. I'm not gonna give y'all all the details and the whole story, but this is a perfect example of cleaning people out of your environment, cleaning that misunderstanding out of your environment, that miscommunication out of your environment, that confusion out of your environment. Okay, you have to clean your head and get to a safe place. Once again, like I said, get that toxicity out of you.
Wait, Mikey, I didn't get to tell him. I am the legally blind artist. I don't know if I'm going to have a new audience watching this than my regular subscribers. I am legally blind and I'm painting. So
and I'm blind and I'm
fully blind.
But yeah, y'all. So me and Love went out to dinner. I took them out to dinner for their birthday. So Love mother, y'all. Love's mother came to dinner with us, and she's one of the people that you would think that, which is fine, that if you invite them, that you have to pay for their food. So I knew that. So I initially told Love, like, hey, I don't mind Mary J. Blige coming, but she would have to pay. Well, I can't say Mary J. Blige. Like, Mary J. Blige. Well, we're just going to say Mary, y'all. So I was like, I don't mind Mary coming, but I'm not going to pay for Mary's food. I don't care you inviting them. That's your mom. I can't tell you not to invite them, but I'm not going to pay for Mary's food. So I had already informed Love that like the numerous times before we even reached Mary's house. So when Mary came downstairs, once again, it hasn't Love hasn't translated this information to Mary yet. So long story short, we go to the restaurant. Um, when the check comes, Mary's looking crazy. Mary's looking at me like, pointing at me saying that, she told the waiter that it was gonna be me that was gonna pay for this food. And I was like, nah, baby, we ain't doing all of that. So long story short, Mary ran out. Of course, we had to leave because the waiter was trying to file my card regardless for the check for both. And I was like, when he went back to split the bill, I was like, no, split the bill. He back to split the bill. We all had to leave because I wasn't going to pay for Mary's food and I was just going to pay for Love's food. But the story gets escalated. And y'all, I might tell this whole story on my channel one day. So if y'all want to know this whole story, just come check me out at d_almighty_Matt. I'm just giving y'all a little example of why you have to clean certain people out your life to get your environment clean in your headspace. Ooh, I'm just throwing the metaphors out, y'all. But so we reached back to Mary's house. We dropped Mary off, and everything is good. So this is where all the miscommunication, misconfusion comes in. So I talked to Mary's son, and I was like, "Hey, your mom thinking it was a joke because, mind you, the conversation. I have to tell you this part in order for the conversation to make sense. When we were in the car, when we was in the restaurant, Mary was down for the whole thing. She knew what was going on. She knew about the check, leaving on the check. She was down for it. She was down with it. When we got in the car, she even called one of her other sons, and he don't need a name because he's not important in this video. But she even called one of her other sons and was like, "Hey, I was down for the get down. I ran out on check, blah blah blah." Like boasting up the situation, like she was just happy about it. So when I spoke to the other son, and he doesn't need a name either because, well, actually, we can't give him a name. His name is Shade, and the reason why I say Shade is because um, he was just shady. But okay, so Shady.
I'm sharing this on Facebook. Oh, okay. I'm not sharing it on Facebook. Man. I didn't do it yet. Go ahead.
Well, don't tag me in it.
Oh, yeah, I can share it or not.
Yeah, that's fine. So um, Shady was like, okay, well, I guess Shady had went back when I talked to Shady. I had told Shady that your mom ran out on the check. We all ran out. I said we all ran out on the check. They was like, not my mom. I was like, yeah, your mom was included. She was there. It was me, her, and Love. We all did it. But the way it went back, I'm not gonna call him Shady because I don't know if he actually translated it the way that she said or she hyped it up. So I'm just gonna simply call him misunderstood, because it probably was just a misunderstanding with the translation between them two. And she called me and was like Mary called me and trying to get some straightening. Like, why did you tell misunderstanding that I said that I ran out on the check, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't say it like that. All I said was we all did. Like, it wasn't an individual thing. I didn't say you specifically. We left it at that. So I knew Mary kind of still felt a certain type of way. So once again, like I said, this is all a misunderstanding because it's going to get real toxic real fast. So the very next day, me and Love, I told Love, I said, hey, let's go talk to Mary because at the end of the day, we can't be in a relationship and me and Mary is not saying eye to eye because Mary is their mother. So we're not saying eye to eye. So there's no point of us having a continued relationship. So we need to talk to them. So all we were trying to do was talk. So Mary was talking to her son with perfect common sense, but when it came to me, it was snapping XYZ, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't know they were on the phone together. So I didn't know she had not told Love not to come or whatever, because he did inform her that we were coming over there to talk. When we get there, she comes downstairs. Them talking once again. They're just talking. And at this point, Love is steady saying, hey, that was my fault. I should have communicated with you. I should have told you. Mary's not trying to hear it. She still wants to place the blame on me because she's not understanding that I did tell Love that I was not paying. Okay? So where the more miscommunication came, because I was telling Love, like, okay, you were there with me and misunderstanding was talking. Tell her what you heard. You heard exactly what I said. I didn't say her specifically. Love felt to tell that. So when he didn't tell her that, it just got escalated. So when I was like, well, let me say something, Mary was just like, you ain't gotta say a mother effing thing to me, bitch. I said, whoa, I'm like, don't talk to me like that, I'm gone. Y'all, this Mary had picked up a rock. She was trying to fight me. I was all F words and Can you say gay on here? All homophobic slangs. It was a whole bunch of homophobic slangs that was coming out her mouth. And and all we kept trying to explain to her was this is a miscommunication, it's a misunderstanding. Everybody's story is going back different. Nobody's telling the correct story from this way to that way. So I realized at that moment I had to literally cut Mary out of my life because it's been toxicity for the last 6 years between her and I. It just wasn't mixing. And the more you try to keep people in your life, the more toxic it becomes. The more you allow this person to break into your environment, the more you allow this person to dirty your environment with dirty words and dirty thoughts and dirty misunderstandings of you and your personality. So you got to clean all, instead of cleaning all the beaches up, you have to clean your mind out, clean that misunderstanding out, clean those misfortunes out, clean that confusion out of your life, because some people we may love some people, but some people you have to love on distance. We love the beach. If we're gonna keep that ocean clean and that beach clean, we got to keep our minds and our bodies clean, okay? And that comes from eating. And it's not just people being in your life. It's anything in your life, a job, financial struggles. Clean that. Obviously, clean that out, but clean that stuff out, y'all. Stop letting stuff take over your mental. Clean your mind space. Be healthy. I'm gonna challenge y'all this. I ain't got no money, y'all, but I'll say for each bad thing that you clean out of your environment, I'll sing y'all a song. But don't be all doing it at one time because my throat be hurting.
I'm reading the label.
My throat be hurting, y'all. Because, some people, and I'm going to tell y'all this because this is a big topic as well. When some people say you are where you become where you from, that's not always true. I'm not a product of.
No, but it weighs an impression.
Can I finish talking before you interject, please? God. I'm in a mind frame. I'm in a zone, and you over here gonna break my concentration. But yeah, y'all. But some people, I'm not gonna say all people, but some people, me, my brother, and my sister, we're from the heart of Chicago, the projects, y'all. And if anybody know Argyle Gardens who's out there, you know how that life growing up was. And I didn't I didn't end up going to jail or anything like that. But my sister, she was a kid. So, if anybody knows our story that's out there that's watching the video, y'all already know what we went through. Maybe I do want to tell that documentary, but I still got to get comfortable and accept everything in my childhood myself before I can give somebody else that story. So, but like I said, my brother has grown up to be, he ain't in and out of jail. He's not slanging and banging and,
but those people that are.
Right, but no, I was just saying, I'm speaking on, you don't have to be a product.
No, you don't have to, but the environment, I'm sure, is a big part of why they are that way.
I said some people are.
No, but majority. I'm thinking majority people.
No, not majority people.
People naturally are born good. I'm not everybody, but most people. Most people.
No.
You learn bad behavior.
No.
And it comes from your environment.
But
most people are good.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that when you're a product of your environment.
That you don't have to be, but I'm just
I'm saying you don't. Not that you don't have to be, but some people are not. You can make a choice, but some people are not the product of whatever. Like you have many people who are singers and rappers and what they can, like Mary J. Blige is a perfect example. She came from the hood, like getting cut up and slang and fighting, but she's not doing that stuff now.
Most people end up negative from their negative environment. So there's a small percentage that don't let the environment affect them, but most times your environment does play a role. Like
sometimes, I wouldn't say most times, sometimes, because you got people that grow up in suburban areas that come out to be criminals.
But there's parts in their environment that could still be, just because you got money and in the suburbs, that don't mean there wasn't substances, there wasn't abuse in your household.
But you have people, so I think everybody comes, because you have people that didn't grow up like that still is out doing the most.
No, but majority is what I usually
I wouldn't say majority. I would say it's all an equal split. You have people who don't do stuff. You have people who do. You have people who grew up in the projects and made something, and then you have people that grew up
out going back and forth to jail and this and that.
But that's not always an environment.
No, not always. A lot of times, yeah, a lot of these hoods, a whole bunch of people going to prison from the hoods and from the jails from the hood.
But what do we consider hoods?
Places that are lower income.
No, because the suburban can be the hood too.
I don't see how it be.
You just said it. You just said
no. I said them themselves can come from negative.
But okay,
experiences.
So
like
everybody got a different interpretation.
They can live in a really good. They can live in a humongous house. That's how all these little rich kids, these famous people kids, how they getting into all this trouble. But it's still something in their environment that was negative that had an effect on them.
But I think
that's everything.
That's everybody. But you also have a choice. Then that's everybody.
Yeah, they got a choice.
Because let me say this. That will be everybody because what you consider hood, the next person may not. What I consider hood, the next person may not. We may consider the hood being a low poverty area, but the next person may not consider that the hood. They may consider that. You got a hood coming from Allgale Gardens, which is the project, a horrible hood, to Pine Hills. Well, no offense to Pine Hills at all, but I'm just using it as an example.
You're talking of the level of hoodness, but there still would be considered the hood.
But they may not.
You said Ardell Gardens wouldn't consider Pine Hills a hood. But still,
right, but that's what I'm saying.
But they still hood.
But that's because your level of hood would be hood because you didn't grow up in that environment. So that may be hood to you because it's more hood. It's the level of it. So
it's more of a struggle when you have certain things going on in your environment. You can resist them, but it is way more of a struggle.
Right. So that's what I was saying. Everybody's interpretations of a hood is different.
A lot of time, the statistics of people coming from the hood straight to prisons and jail is kind of high. So it's like it's the lack.
But then we can't say what.
I'm not saying all now.
No, but I'm saying
come
like
to prison from the suburbs.
They may not think that where they live at is the hood. It's everybody's different interpretation.
No, I said low income is what I said. Low income.
But it's a lot of low income places that's nice. I live in a low income.
Baby, why they breaking up into your car?
But that can happen anywhere. Mimi from Atlanta, from Love and Hip Hop, somebody broke into her garage in her house and shot up her damn car. So
it's cursing on.
Oh crap!
He is really gonna be the word that I'm not to that.
Damn, that's not a cussing word.
You meant it in a curse way.
I did.
It's pain.
Y'all, my stomach's starting to hurt, y'all. Y'all know I'm real.
Let me tell you. Okay, so my environment was that pain?
Where? On me?
No. My environment, dude, I'm like a chameleon. My environment affects me. It really does. And though I try to not let it affect me, I can tell when I'm in an environment where it's constant. I grew up with, it's 5 of us girls, all in the same household at the same time, but it was 4 of us, and my older sister had moved away. But even when it was just me and my sister, we used to fight or whatever. But when my older sister left and it became just me and my younger sisters, it was constant confusion. It was constant fighting, constant arguing. It was constant.
But that's my mother, normal sibling
when my mother, no, baby, the way we grew up, what other normal people? Y'all didn't even fight like all that chaos.
My sister stabbed me in the back on Thanksgiving Day.
It was chaotic in my household.
No, I don't think y'all had nothing on the Curtis and Harris kids.
Arguing, and then the parents, they come home stressed because the kids is constantly arguing. They won't stop. They won't go sit over. I don't think they know that was not, baby. No, if I don't want to tell y'all, all the stuff that really went on. It was some stuff like them kids was bad. Them kids
Yeah,
was
but I'm just saying,
they was worse than that situation was ridiculous.
Look at all of them
and they
now.
were constant.
So they're not product.
It doesn't matter about what they is now. What it took an effect on me. It was constant confusion. It was constant chaos in my house. I never could get a moment of quiet. You barely can get that now. Where you can go to their house and there's some quiet. Now don't tell me. And noise, constant confusion. A lot of those things affect me. They affect my mental. Sometimes I need peace. And a lot of times when I have peace and I have quiet and I have not arguing, then I'm able to more, deal with things that's going on. But when you constantly like have an argument, like, oh my gosh, they're gonna start doing this. Oh my gosh, they're gonna start doing that. So let me get back to painting because I don't know if this picture even gonna come out right. This paint is not working for me. But yeah, I personally think that I've taken on a lot of bad aspects from my environment. Now, I'm not saying I come from the worst environment at all. I really don't. I had a good upbringing. My parents did the best that they could, but it's a lot of things that I have taken from my environment. And even if we get out the household, let's go to the schools. When I was in school, I was bullied. And being bullied, a lot of that's an environment. Going to that caused a lot of depression. A lot of time, my environment depresses me. It was a time that I worked at a job that I could not stand, and it wasn't just because I couldn't stand it. This company really did not treat their employees worth anything. They didn't. They no matter how hard you tried, you could never do anything good. You couldn't do anything right. It was always, hey, come on, let's go write you up. So when you're constant in your environment, getting negative feedback and bad things and bad comments about you, and it's always a fight and argument, those things, I have taken a lot of them with me. So I don't know. I do take on, but when I'm in a positive area, people are getting along. It's not maybe gossiping going on like at jobs. A lot of time people just gossip and stuff. You can have hostile work environments, and that will affect you. So your environment, like I don't know. I think environment do.
Well, let me say this because see, this is where I'm gonna.
No, I got off the home and I just gave the.
I know. Example. I heard everything you said.
Oh.
So, guys, if we want to say this is how I grew up because me and Cadillac, even though we are cousins, we grew up two totally different ways. So I grew up in the household. I grew up in Chicago until I was 8. That's a lot of violence. A lot of the first night we moved into the project. Somebody got slain right on our front porch in front of us. A 5-year-old should never see. Can we say body bag? A 5-year-old should never see that. A 5-year-old should never even endure that. What you typing? A 5-year-old should never endure that. Y'all, I grew up fighting every day, almost every day, with the kids trying to take our sneakers and clothes and
But that's
shoes.
The whole thing. It doesn't have to be a lot of bad.
Hold on, I'm finna give y'all the tea. I'm finna break it down. We're gonna get real for a second. I grew up in a household where me and my siblings, we did fight all the time. I was stabbed in the back on Thanksgiving. The police had to come everything by my own sister, y'all. Even though we've moved past that, now I grew up in a household where I was being verbally abused by somebody who could be my stepfather, calling me punks and the F word and that homo slang. Growing up, I grew up with kids teasing me. Y'all, I was a little portly little boy. When I was about 10 years old, I was like 230 pounds. So I was like the size I am now at 10 years old. So, and only reason why I gained weight now, y'all, is because, my health started declining with the dialysis and things like that. I can't get to the gym and eat the way I want to eat. So I have to, lose inside. I have to prepare whoever prepares something for me or learn how to prepare it myself. But back to the topic, I grew up with kids picking on me, calling me fat. The little boy made a little song, got my shoes were leaning. You know that song, Tweet, ooh, so my. He used to be like, your shoes leaning over to the left. That bothered me growing up, getting picked on, and they called me the F word a lot, and it was a lot being picked on. I went from that to getting what's the word I can say? Getting the R word, you know, from someone who was supposed to be loving me as their own family, you know, to them sexually A-ing me. Can I say abuse? Sexually abusing me.
You already killed my mom.
Oh, well, y'all from sexually abusing me.
No, don't just go all.
So I went from that to have to still fight my siblings. I went from that to have to fight in school. I went from that to working at a job, being belittled by someone. I got picked on all my life. But you know what? I turned out at 18 years old. If you would look at my story, you would never have known any of that, what I've been through. And I'm not even giving y'all the half of it. I'm not even giving y'all a quarter of it. I'm just giving y'all a half a quarter, like a piece. I'm giving y'all 5% of what I went through. But I didn't turn out. My life could have went horribly. I could have been one of them kids that shot up the whole place or beating up everybody and doing this and doing that, because the product of my environment, had I been a product of my environment, Mary that night from that restaurant trying to hit me with a rock, baby, I would have rocked the world. But because I didn't, I think about the things that I do.
Took something from that environment. Something.
No, I left it.
No,
I left all of that.
Something. It had some type of effect that still would be there. There's something.
Y'all, let me tell y'all.
Had that not happened,
hold on. Let me finish explaining before you say that.
Ever happened.
I got to a point in life where I decided I'm going to control my own life. I don't care. You can call me the F word 24/7. It will not affect me. You can use homo slang against me. It will not affect me. You can call me fat, bald head, black. You can use the N word. None of that affects me because they're just words. Now, putting your hands on someone, of course, you will have to protect yourself. But I came to a point where I don't let things control me. Of course, we are human. We're going to get angry at stuff, but I let it go. I let it go in that moment. I don't hold grudges. I could care less. You don't want to talk to me. You don't want to talk to me. If you decide you want to move the hell on, move on. I don't care. I decided to, because your life is your own. You make it your own. When you decide to clean your mental out and get in that safe space, none of that stuff that held you down in the past will not hold you down in the future.
I'm not saying completely held down, but there's some effect that comes from that environment. That environment doesn't need pristine, just nothing. It could be the smallest thing.
But that's what I'm saying. You have the power to control that.
No, I didn't say you didn't, but it's still something that was left behind. Like that bottle in the ocean, there was something left behind from that.
But that's the point of cleaning the ocean out. So you could get it on. You could get it out your life.
You could clean it out, but it left behind something. That environment left something.
Well, maybe that's in some people. I can't speak for everybody, y'all.
Because who can go through that environment and it doesn't leave no effect on them whatsoever? Even though the effect may not be there now.
No, people who decide to accept what they went through, and only way stuff still affects you if you don't accept it.
I'm not saying still affect you.
No, I'm saying if something in your past,
when it first happened, it left some effect there. Now the effects have been cleaned up, like you're saying.
They're gone now. Yeah, I don't care about it now.
The environment caused them.
But this is the thing.
But you're saying you can clean it up.
Only way your environment, just like only way that bottle affects that ocean, if it's still there. The only way your environment is still going to affect you is if you're still there. If you're still stuck in that environment and you haven't gotten out of that environment, it's going to still affect you.
For long-term effects, what I'm saying is in some manner, it still affected something. Okay, let's throw a bottle in the ocean right now. A fish can come by and swallow the bottle. Or like the little ducks, how they said, it still affected it. But it didn't kill the whole ocean, but it still had some small little effect on the ocean, like how they have those turtle straws. The turtles are dying from the
But
straws.
if it's a glass bottle in the ocean and you remove that glass bottle in enough time to remove it out your life, how's it going to affect you
if you remove
it?
Traumatizing things like that, I don't know if you can remove it like the instant that it happens. Sometimes
because you have to, when it comes to your mental,
and especially coming from kids.
When I went through
don't
therapy, my
how
therapist
deal
told
with
me, in order for you to move on from something, you have to accept that it happened. The reason why we hold on to stuff because we haven't accepted that this truly happened. Why me? Everybody asks that question. Why me? Why did this happen to me? When you can answer that, why me? You're moving on from that situation.
No, but you're talking about the cleaning of it. So for you to
Right.
clean something,
So you can't clean nothing and it gets
something
dirty
had
again.
to been there for you to clean.
That's what I said back. I said back
clean
then.
ocean.
Back
Yeah,
then,
but that is still
but
not
now,
effect.
today, there's no effect to none of that.
No, but I'm saying the bad environment still left some effect. Now,
not now.
We didn't say now.
Yes, I did.
We're specifically talking about cleaning the oceans. So, okay, already there's plastic within our bodies. There's already pollution. There's already turtles that have died. So it already affected it. But if we clean it up, it won't continue to affect it. Correct. But it still caused an effect. It caused an effect from the beginning.
But if you clean that out if you clean that out in enough time, it won't. That plastic won't melt in that ocean. If you drop a bottle in the ocean today and go pick it up, it ain't gonna cause no problem. Why? You just dropped it. Yeah. You better be able to see. Well, we probably can't see it. It probably be sitting right in front of us.
The environment has some effect on you. It might have more effect on some and less effect on others, but I still think environment.
Y'all, my eyes feel like something
type of effect. Even like going back to them rich kids, a lot of the
Did you just whistle?
No, I'm talking. The rich kids, a lot of them, by their environment being too perfect, they don't know how to deal with real life experiences.
But I think shelter people in low income poverty has experienced that too.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I think that being I say something with a white man. I know
every time you get in trouble, your parents come and bail you out. You'll never know how to deal with something. So that's still your environment.
Well, maybe that's your environment.
No, ain't nobody who bailed me out of anything.
I'm talking about demonia.
Ain't nobody bailed me out of nothing.
And I tell Kat like this all the time.
Figure it out
she's gonna. You can't bail her out of everything. You have to let her experience it.
What do I bail her out?
You told me that's my child. I ain't gonna know.
What I said was when your child cannot get you're gonna let your child learn some lessons. But when it gets down to the point where you really see that they're in trouble, you're gonna come and step up and try to help them because that is your child.
Growing up, but my interpretations now, this our interpretations become is because when she would act bad, you would still reward her.
No,
instead of discipline her.
That's not what I did, but that's gonna be your take on what I did.
I just said interpretations. So y'all, let me say this. If you finna spend $400 on a room and your child is unappreciative, are you still gonna write that in the comments? Are you still gonna get that room? Or are you gonna say, you know what? You acting up. I'm not gonna get this one. Let us know what y'all.
There's many things that I didn't do for her that I would have done.
But that's one thing. I wouldn't have been spending that much money.
I didn't do everything for her, but we'll never see eye on that. Everybody feel like I just was like, hey, money, what you want? You want this? You want that?
But you see how you. But hold on, one second. You see how you said we got two interpretations on that. Well, everybody got a different interpretation on how they're gonna go about things.
As being her mother, you just witnessed me being her mother. You weren't with us like 24/7 to know.
I was there a lot. It might have been 24/6, but it was a lot.
You don't know everything. That I disciplined her. I didn't say yes to everything. I tried to teach her lessons. Now,
but she was sheltered. What I'm saying, she was sheltered. I'm
gonna be honest. I did not whip her. I didn't whoop her or whatever. Whoop wherever you come from, how you say it. Whoop her, whip her. I didn't do that. But the thing was, Why didn't I do that as well? Came from my environment.
Y'all got whooping.
Baby, not by my mama. My mama did
Your
not.
daddy
My mother
but
would
your daddy
never.
did.
My mother would fuss. She would holler. She never put. I remember getting one whooping from my mother.
Maybe not. She may not have whooped you.
Now my
but
dad,
Nikki and Aaliyah.
oh, but I never really.
I've seen putting fist fight Aaliyah.
Mike, you're going too far. Why? Like you
What?
feel
I didn't say
really
she was the
personal. They no.
I see her
But then you
discipline
have
them.
to say the point that they were trying to fight her. If you're gonna put
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
you can say that.
They were
But
unruly.
Kristen, I seen them.
They were very unruly. They weren't like the average kids,
But,
like he tried to say they were. These kids were.
I
Really
know.
like
I didn't say they were average kids. I said
they were
arguing with your
control.
siblings is a regular thing.
But it wasn't regular argument. I grew up in a chaotic confusion, always. And the thing was, no matter how bad the kids was, I got blamed for everything. Can you see how that followed me through my life? How I always want to walk on eggshells. I don't want to do nothing wrong because I'm like, oh, they might blame me for it. Oh, I might. Like even at my job now, the manager was like, you're fighting yourself. You're doing fine. You're doing good. So because I was always, everything was my fault, whether it was my fault or not, it was my fault. I took on that mental state that something's wrong. It must be something I did wrong. So did.
Your product, then that's what I'm
Come
saying.
from that.
We're two different people. You are an environment. You are the product of your environment. I'm not. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in chaos and in fighting and stuff. A lot. I'm pretty sure it was a lot worse because y'all grew up in the nice neighborhood.
Ain't no need to compare because that was bad. That was horrible.
But you grew up in bullying in school. I mean, y'all didn't witness shootings and people crack pipes in the street and stuff like that.
It doesn't matter what level of it. Just a little bit can mess up a person.
Right. But what I'm saying, your level of your product, your environment, and my level are different. So that's what I'm using it as an example. What you went through, I don't consider that the hood. I don't consider that.
No, we're not talking about the hood.
I'm saying I don't consider that as something that not the effect, because that's how it started when we were talking about levels of how we all see things differently. So that's what I'm speaking on. How we see it differently is different. Because what you said, the people in the jail came from hoods, and I'm like,
I didn't say that.
You did. You said majority of the people.
No. I said a lot of them. I never say
that's
that.
Majority.
I always say a lot of people that end up in jail is because of something from their environment.
But you said majority because I don't use that word, so I know I didn't say it.
But it is a lot. The jail, the prison. If most people,
but no. Listen, before you get too far off the topic,
if we focus
I said, how do you
on
know they were from the hood? And then you went to say they low income, and I said, well, it's different levels to being in the hood.
Well, I'm gonna do my research more and actually get these statistics. They actually target hoods. They target certain neighborhoods. Why are there task force in certain neighborhoods? In certain neighborhoods, they're not. Like, why are there? They have certain teams that go out strictly to go and arrest certain people from certain demographics.
But the thing, even if you take, then we have to blame ourselves because we make our own areas hood.
No.
When we get in areas,
baby. The more I try to make my hood, my area good, most people are not trying to hear that. Most people are trying to figure out a way. So,
but you said you said your hood, right? Listen, hold on 1 second. You said your hood, but have you ever went to a neighborhood and said, "Oh, let me lock the doors because this is an unsafe neighborhood," or "Let me hide"?
But no matter how good I be in that neighborhood,
but how do you think they look at it when they go to your neighborhood? Like, oh, let me.
It's not going to necessarily. It's not going to necessarily.
It's an unsavory.
Just because one person tries to be good, or there's a handful of people trying to change the neighborhood, there's more that's not trying to change the neighborhood. So a lot of times that not trying to change it outpowers the trying to change it.
But do you know of it being hood, or is what you heard?
Why do you keep going back to hood? Maybe I used the wrong terminology.
No, I was just
but
asking.
I'm saying a lot of low income warrants a lot of there. We have a lot of young Black and minority young men, and I know that Black and minority men are not born just to commit crimes, right? So why do we flood these facilities? Like, why is it more of us in these facilities and we're less of the actual American population?
Because we give them that answer. We give that to people. When we,
it's a lot of the environment. It's not only the environment,
but when we put out words,
environment
this area is bad because it's low
music. I feel like music is a big influence because music is part of your environment. A lot of kids trying to fit in. That's how they get into trouble. That a lot of that is part of their environment, but it all goes back to your environment being where you're at, where you hang at, where you be at, where you live at, where you go to school, where you work, whatever. That's your environment. And then also a part of your environment is the people you hang around. So maybe when you were in that maybe so not so positive area, maybe you weren't around not so positive people. You could have been around people that weren't doing that.
No, they were.
So
they were gangsters.
No, I'm not specifically saying just you. A lot of people come like.
Well, even I'm just saying me. I didn't grow up. I grew up with people that is about that life.
No,
I'm gonna just say that. But I didn't personally. I grew up. I didn't grow up in my. I didn't grow up in the environment that. It could have held me down, but I made the choice. Everybody's
you're putting yourself in it, but other people.
No,
a lot of people. No, but a lot of people are affected by the environment. Environments.
I keep saying in the beginning, I said I can only speak for me. I can't speak for the world.
No,
but
we speak
Mikey
for more than just
did not grow
this
up.
ain't a conversation that we talking about just you.
No, but I'm just saying in general, we two different people, so we got two different views on the product of how our environment raised us. Pretty much, I didn't become a product of my environment. I could have, but I personally didn't. I didn't. I did what I had to do. Even when this whole school thing came about, I didn't do what I was supposed to do in school, but I did. I ended up completing that task. I went back and did what I had to do. I always had a job. I stayed working. I never broke into somebody's house. I never stole. I never did what I've seen growing up. I did the right thing. I stayed out of jail. I took care of myself. I did what I had to do to make sure I was okay. So my environment could have brought it's people that I grew up with that when I left Chicago at 8 years old, they're not here today. They're gone because they became what she's explaining. But it's people that also that is from Chicago that I know that is doing well for themselves.
We're not saying that
no, but I'm saying the environment that I grew up in.
We're not saying that you can't become good from a bad environment. My mother comes from the streets of Chicago. My mother, she always told us how.
But if you looked at her, you would not know that she went through all of that.
She
didn't become a product of her environment.
Believe in getting any type of assistance whatsoever. I was the coupon queen of finding a deal. If there was something free, if it was something a giveaway, I would always be there. My mom would always, Kita, don't look at nobody to hand you out nothing. She never wanted us to ask for, to be there asking for assistance or whatever. But that's how she grew up. She did not want no food benefits. Mama, if you tried to give it to her, she wouldn't even hardly.
But that's what I'm saying.
But
she didn't
ended
become
up
a product
leaving from there. But it still had some effects on her. That could be why that chaotic nature was. That could be why she was always angry. That could be why she was always mad and upset. Now she did turn out good, but there was still some effects from that environment.
My interpretation of her wasn't angry and upset. See,
she was always.
We're all gonna look at it different. You're gonna see it that way because of how you felt.
I would be like, Mom, because I would calmly come to her and try to talk to her. Now my mother has passed away, so I'm no way trying to down her or anything. No parent is perfect, but I had a good. Oh my God, my mama was a great mother. but there still were some issues. And my mother was always
But I think
stressed
it's gonna
out.
be issues
She was always,
regardless. No matter where you grew up, it's
but
always
it
gonna be issues
stemmed
because we're human.
from her environment, but we passed it on. See, she passed it on from her mother, and she passed it on to me, and I probably passed it on to my daughter. It's per the environments that we grew up. Had I not
Well, I didn't.
always
My
grew
mama ain't
up,
passed that stuff.
if I
on me
never
from what
grew
I
up,
went through.
if I never grew up with all that chaos, I could be, y'all might look at me like a kid of crazy, y'all. Like she just straight up Looney Tune, like for real. But that's probably from where I come from. Those are things that I went through. Those are aspects that I have been through. So now they have become a part of me
Hold
in
on,
some
y'all. I
kind
gotta
of way.
step away for a
Now,
second.
to progress, I do have to let those things go. Just as Mac was saying, you have to clean it up. We got to get these bottles out this ocean. You got to get that dirty past or whatever you went through, whatever that the effects of the elements that have stuck to you, you have to let them go to progress, to move forward. Yeah. You want to you want to be in the discussion? Oh, do you want to be in the discussion? Huh? Yeah. Oh no, Mikey, we talking about, oh Mac, I'm sorry y'all, that's Mac. We talking about your environment affecting you. Like, okay, so we have to pertain it to the cleaning the ocean because the things that it's like messing up our water, messing up us eventually. So we were pertaining it to cleaning up our environment that we came from. Like how did things that happened to you when you were growing up, how it affect you now? Like you kind of took those things with you, like growing up.
Me? Me?
Mikey, am I ending this? You about to knock my laptop over. Am I ending this line, or did you go?
I'm coming back. I told you I had to. This hurt my backside.
Oh, that's because you bought them wooden chairs.
No, my mama brought this.
Oh.
She bought this for me, y'all. What was you saying?
I don't know. I feel like most people are good, and most people want to do good. It's just a lot of them just don't have the tools to do good. They don't have the.
But I think a lot of people take those tools and still do what they want to do.
Some and some like they just don't know. Oh, thank you. Oh, I thought that was the same voice. I didn't know that was a whole other child.
They sound just alike. I'll be like, who was talking?
No, because someone had just said that, so I didn't know that was another one. But yeah,
so even if it was the same one, you weren't gonna say nothing again.
Again? I just said a drink.
Well, maybe she is the part because I would have spoke again, y'all. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Let's just try to have the best environments in our lives, so possibly we can have the best lives. I don't know.
Right, y'all. Well, I don't know what Cadillac with this paint and y'all.
I don't know. It's gonna take some time.
But my sciatica acting up.
My knees hurt. I'm on my knees trying to paint. No, you better continue on till you get this part.
What part? I ain't got nothing else to say.
How you ain't got nothing else to say?
Because if we only doing one topic, we've already discussed that. Unless we can change the topic and talk about something else.
As far as why is this?
I don't know, but y'all, if y'all see me shifting, this chug got my bite.
Okay,
my bite hurt, y'all.
I done made that part a little too dark.
Oh, y'all. Speaking of y'all, so we got a Halloween. What Halloween detail coming out? We got a little Halloween theme. We're gonna try to do the face paint. I mentioned this to Cadillac the other day. I'm gonna let her draw on my face, y'all. I don't know if I should, cause she can't see right now.
Waited until I broke my contact.
I don't know, but we just gotta go. Y'all, let me tell y'all. So I was gonna do a little skit for Halloween. I was gonna be Loretta Devine. Y'all remember Waiting at Hell when she was like, I don't know if the man asked her what was she cooking, and she was like, you know, some leftovers, collard greens, ham, turkey,
There wasn't no dark color, no leftovers.
yams, macaroni,
She was
yellow
cooking
rice.
for him. She was
She
so
did,
pissed.
but she said it was leftovers.
She
She
was,
was
there
like,
wasn't no
I'm gonna
leftovers.
just have some leftovers, some collard greens, chicken, fried chicken, baked chicken,
This
great
is
chicken.
not lighting up.
But y'all, I was gonna do that part, y'all. So let me know if y'all want me to do that. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be funny. But we do have a Halloween video coming out. We're going to Halloween Horror Nights. Unfortunately, we cannot videotape the houses, but we can videotape like the scare zones, things like that. And y'all will see how they try to freaking scare me, but it'd be so funny because they don't know that I'm blind. They be all in my face, growling and stuff like that, and I don't be seeing what they got going on. So yeah, that's gonna be entertaining.
Okay, maybe I need to let these layers dry. I don't know. My paint ain't mixing. Ooh, my paint is not mixing the way I
My
want
backbone
it
and my
to mix.
my coccyx ain't mixing either. It ain't mixing together. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
He
So
what?
I guess we.
Yeah. Oh.
So I guess we
What
gonna
you
wrap it on up because I'm gonna let this dry and then we'll come
you
back
doing
in. Or I might have to finish it without y'all. All right, guys. Here's your girl Cadillac. Oh yeah, yeah, the same name.
2 days tonight. Oh.